Man, I just got finished watching the Brockhampton Saturation documentary. I'm a little bit inspired right now, and I think I'm ready to talk about my top 15 albums of 2017. But first, I gotta mention some honorable mentions, some albums that for me just didn't make the cut in the top 15. If I would make a bigger list, they would have been up next. I want to mention Rhapsody's album, Layla's Wisdom, great hip hop album. I want to mention Quelly Chris's Being You Is Great. I Wish I Could Be You More Often. Fantastic album as well. I want to mention Ryan Adams' Prisoner. Came out, God, it seems like forever ago. I want to mention JID's The Never Story. Some of the songs on the first half were some of my favorites of the year, but the second half wasn't strong enough for me to put it in my top 15. Also want to mention Open Mike Eagle, Mac DeMarco, Joey Badass, Sci-Hi the Prince, and there's plenty more that I could mention, but I'll leave it at that for now. So coming in at number 15 spot for me, which I think this album is pretty underrated this year, honestly, is The Drum Chord Theory by a guy named Matt Martians, who is formerly from The Internet with Sid the Kid and Steve Lacy. I think The Drum Chord Theory, it's a fun, kind of funky, kind of hip-hop, kind of a little bit soulful, a little bit R&B. It's just kind of a mix of everything. It's kind of jammy. There's some catchy songs on there, and I really enjoy it. Every time I listen to it, I really enjoy it. Coming in at number 14 spot is OC's new album, Orc. Pretty heavy rock record, some really good grooves on there, some, again, catchy songs. The album's very well produced, in my opinion, and I feel like a lot of the songs are very transformative, which is something I really enjoy in my listening of music things. Number 13 for me is Control by SZA. I originally had Daniel Caesar's album Freudian in this spot, and I thought about it, and frankly, for me personally, and maybe I need to listen to Control some more, but I think Freudian for me is I guess more consistent throughout. Control kind of teeters off for me during the second half of the album, but the first half is so great. You know, it's got Love Galore on there, Drew Barrymore, The Weeknd, like these songs are super great R&B songs that I definitely recommend listening to. SZA, you know, it's an album about her kind of growing up into her own woman and learning from her experiences with, you know, in relationships with men that she's dated in the past. And even though, like I said, to me it teeters off a little bit in the second half of the album, I think the first half and those songs are just so great. I had to put it up here in the top 15. At the number 12 spot, I have an incredible hip hop double album by Big K.R.I.T, Forever Is a Mighty Long Time. This album, like I said, it's a double album. It's an hour and a half long, roughly, but to me, it does not at all feel like it's that long. Like, I mean, it breezes by. It's so enjoyable that you don't really notice how long you've been listening. And part of the concept of this album that I enjoyed was the first half, the first disc, is the Big K.R.I.T disc. So it's more of like, you know, it's more of the, you know, rapper persona. You know, it's got harder beats, more bangers like on Subbenstein and Big Bank. And then the second half, the second disc, is the Justin Scott disc. Justin Scott is his real name. That's more of the personal side of him, the more introspective tracks. I guess there's a little more lyrical content in there. So I like the contrast from, I guess, more commercial sounding or more, you know, bangers, more party music, and then the more personal, introspective, sometimes gospel hip-hop on the second side. Coming in at number 11 for me was an album that honestly really shocked me. I did not expect to like it near as much as I did, if at all. This artist is an artist I never really took that seriously. No offense to him, you know, no disrespect or anything like that. I just heard so many lines from him, so many songs, that I just didn't really take him seriously. And that is 2 Chainz releasing Pretty Girls Like Trap Music this year. Now this album, it's a lot more, I guess introspective and thoughtful than I expected. A lot more not ignorant and not just like party music. I mean, there's bangers on here for sure. There's a couple, radio friendly songs. It's got one of my favorite singles of the year, 4 a.m. with Travis Scott. It's got one of my favorite rap songs of the year with Riverdale Road, the second song on the album. And it just really shocked me to even be able to put this even close to my top 15. Another thing I think about this album is it uses the features very well. It's got it's got Quavo, it's got Travis Scott, it's got Nicki Minaj, which that's honestly one of the weaker songs on the album. It's got Drake, it's got Sway Lee, who I really enjoyed his feature on Poor Fool. That's one of my favorite songs on the album. That's more of an introspective, thoughtful, reflective or reminiscent song where he's kind of thinking about how he grew up. And yeah, I mean, this is just, it really impressed me. It really impressed me. All right, coming in at the number 10 spot, I got one of my favorite bands in the world right now, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, with their album Flying Microtonal Banana, which I actually not released. I didn't release the album. I reviewed the album back when it came out, so back in February. It's one of the couple reviews I have on the channel right now. And I mean, I still love the album. I loved it back then. I still love it now. It's it's King Gizzard, so it's kind of jammy. It's actually super catchy. It's got great grooves. There's this sense on it of like impending doom that I still get from listening to it now. That was something I talked about in my review months ago, and I still feel that. There's this dark sense of doom the entire album, which I actually really enjoy. And man, yeah, I mean, I think it's their best album they released this year, frankly, if I'm being totally honest. They've released 4, they're about to release 5. I'm assuming that's going to come out tomorrow on Christmas. But yeah, I think it's definitely easily their best from the year. Now, coming in at number 9 was another one that surprised me, just because I've never really been much of a fan of him. Maybe I should listen to his stuff more. I really haven't given his old stuff that much of a chance, honestly. That's Jay-Z with his album 444. Now, this album, it's super thoughtful, super, I guess, teachy without being preachy. #bars. I felt like he was really trying to help the listener, understand certain things about how the world works, but I didn't feel like he was being super, like I said, preachy or pretentious, like, how do you not know this, or what. I think the production from No ID is phenomenal. I mean, the story of OJ has one of the best beats of the year. I really love the beat on, Caught Their Eyes with Frank Ocean, which, I mean, that's one of my favorite songs on the album. That might be my favorite song on the album. I don't feel like it gets a lot of talk, but for me personally, that's probably one of my favorites. But man, No ID destroyed. These beats are so good. I mean, it's incredible. I love No ID. And I also have to point out the fact that I like how concise the album is. It's just over 30 minutes. It's really not long at all. And I feel like that's only to its benefit. I think that Jay-Z, he had something to say. He said it and he was gone. He went away. He didn't stick around too long. He didn't try to throw in some extra little filler tracks here and there just to make the album longer or appeal to a certain market. No, he just said what he needed to say and he got going. I really enjoy that about the album. Now, at number 8, I got Big Fish Theory by Vince Staples. Vince Staples is definitely one of my favorite rappers in the game right now. In my opinion, he's number 2 behind Kenrick. That's just me. Got a couple of his records right over here. Got Summertime '06, Prima Donna. I really like the slightly different sound he went with here. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more on the electronic side, than his previous work. It's not like an electronic album or anything like that. It's still, a dark, heavy hip-hop album by Vince Staples. It's just got more of the electronic tinge to it. It's more dancey as well. It has some of my favorite songs of the year. You got Big Fish, you got Rain Come Down, you got Love Can Be, which I feel like a lot of people were kind of cool on that song. They thought it was kind of crazy, but I think it was kind of all over the place. But I think that's something I like about it. I really enjoy that about that song. And I finally got the Kenrick Vince Staples collab song that I have wanted to hear for a decent amount of time, which that was pretty exciting. My two favorite rappers in the game right now collabing on the same song. And yeah, man, I love the production. I love the sound he went with. I love that he's always trying to bring a message. And I have to mention that the album cover is one of the best album covers of the year, in my opinion. Now, next up at the number 7 mark, I have an album by a guy I had never heard of prior to this release, and that's Sampha with the album Process. Man, I love this album. I was just listening to it the other day, kind of getting ready for this video, and I mean it still holds up, man. I mean, I haven't listened to it in a decent amount of time, but it still holds up. It's catchy, it's heartfelt, it's beautiful at times, it's heavy at times, it's hard hitting. It's got one of my favorite songs, I believe it was a single. I think it was a single. Blood on Me. I mean, I love that song still. It's got one of the most beautiful songs of the year with No One Knows Me Like the Piano. It's a nice mix to me of tinges of R&B. You got hip hop. You got African music. As I don't know if he's actually from Africa or just his mom came over from Africa to the UK and then he was born. I'm not sure about all that, but I love the tinge of African music in the album. And one of the biggest things I can say about this album is I love his voice, man. His voice is definitely one of the best parts of this album. It's one of the things that makes the album so good to me and so enjoyable to listen to. There are maybe one or two songs near the end that I'm kind of cool on, but I still have to put it up in the top 10 for me. It's still one of the albums that I really, really enjoyed from this year. Now at number 6 is a guy named Milo with the album Who Told You to Think. Milo, hip-hop artist. I first listened to him 2015, right? 2015 with So the Flies Don't Come, which I really enjoyed that as well. But this one, to me, blows that one out of the water. I mean, this one is incredible. It's kind of off-kilter. It's a little bit lo-fi. It's underground. I love his sort of cryptic lyricism at times. He's clearly a very well-read person. And I think that comes out. He has a lot of references that you probably wouldn't just know just from hearing it. You'd probably have to, read the lyrics and really know some background information before you just understand everything he says. It's not a rap album for everybody. I'm not going to say, if you like rap, listen to this, because that's not necessarily the case. It's definitely not that. But, there was a time back when it first came out where I could not get enough of it. I mean, this was all I was listening to, other than an album I'll mention later, so I won't even say it right now. But this album is so freaking good. I highly recommend, if you like sort of off-kilter, thoughtful rap that's not just like everything you hear on the radio or out there, then definitely go check that album out. And at number 5, one of my favorite albums, but I mean, this album is freaking incredible. It's To My Left right here, Flower Boy by Tyler, the Creator, man. This album right here, so far ahead of everything he's ever released before this. I was a decently big fan of Tyler when he first came out, when Odd Future first became big. Like I was in that, I was a fan of Odd Future, but this is so far ahead of anything, I would almost say anything any Odd Future members put out if Frank Ocean was not associated with Odd Future, because I don't know if I'd say it's better than Blonde, but I mean, this album is freaking incredible, dude. I definitely feel like with this album, the true artistry of Tyler came out for everyone to see. I think in the past he's kind of been passed off as, you know, just someone who does things to get attention, someone who just isn't necessarily like that talented. He just says crazy things, does crazy things so that people will be like, oh, have you heard about this Tyler? He did this crazy thing in a video, or he said this crazy thing in a song. And I think with this album, he really showed that he's not that at all. He's really a true artist. You know, this album, it has beautiful songs. It has super in-your-face, aggressive songs like Who Dat Boy and Ain't Got Time. You know, it's thoughtful. He deals with, you know, the thought of becoming irrelevant after a while, you know, people not wanting to listen to his music anymore, people not caring about Tyler, the Creator, anymore. You know, he kind of talks about that and worries about that. He talks about finding an identity, about using possessions like cars and, you know, jewelry to fill a void that he needs to fill. And I mean, man, this album, the features are used well. You got Frank Ocean on a couple songs. You got Steve Lacy. You got, I think it's Callie Uchis. I don't know if that's how you say it. She has a really good feature on this album. I mean, this album is phenomenal. Yeah, man, I love this album. It's incredible to me. All right, at number 4, I got Fleet Foxes with Crack Up. Man, this album right here, this is one of the most beautiful albums I've heard all year. And at my number 4 spot, I got Fleet Foxes with Crack Up. This is definitely, to me, one of the most beautiful albums that's come out in 2017. It's grandiose and huge at times, and then at other times it's very low key and somber and, you know, just kind of reflective in tone and in the lyrics. This is an album that you can listen to it, you can put it on, and you can sit down, read the lyrics, you know, really get into it. But it's also a really good album to just sit back and kind of zone out to. I discovered actually over the summer that's very good, a very good album to listen to while you're reading. So that's just one little extra perk about the record. But yeah, man, I love it. I love the record. Now, coming in at number 3 was one of my most anticipated albums of the year, for sure. It's right above my shoulder here, and that is Father John Misty's Pure Comedy. Man, it's a cinematic album. I would definitely say that. It's it feels very big. It doesn't just feel like music, you know. It feels bigger than that. It feels like a production, you know. It feels almost like a play. You know, it deals with basically the human condition and the ugliness that are humans, that is mankind. That's the word I was looking for, mankind. It talks about how the things we do really make no sense, but we kind of rationalize them in our head, and it's a great analysis of what it is to be human and why we're so screwed up today. And I mean, really, we've always been screwed up. But this album has some of my favorite singles. I mean, before the album came out, it was single after single after single. There was like 5 singles before the album came out. I thought I was going to hear the whole album before it even came out. Pure Comedy, probably one of my top 5 songs of the year, for sure. For sure. Not singles, but just songs in general. I mean, that song is incredible. It is basically the culmination of the entire album. I actually was able to see Father John Misty live back in August, which, to see some of these songs perform live and see some of his older songs perform live, of course, made them even better. I mean, it was such a good experience. It was maybe the best concert I've been to. But anyways, that's besides the point. Father John Misty comes in at number 3 with Pure Comedy. Now at number 2, this album, I originally had at number 1. He's probably my favorite modern artist. He might be in frame right now. You might be able to see a picture of him. And that's Kendrick Lamar with Damn. This album is really, in a sense, par for the course for Kendrick. I mean, it's thoughtful, obviously. It's kind of conceptual, while still having those, like, super commercial moments and commercial friendly songs like A Humble or like Love, or Element even. I feel like it showcases a lot of different flows from Kenrick. He raps differently on Humble than he does DNA, which is one of my favorite songs of the year for sure, DNA, where he raps Humble, or Jesus Christ, where he raps differently than he does on Element. He raps differently on there than he does on Love or on Fear. It's got, like, Fear is one of the more thoughtful and that's one of the more conceptual songs on the album. You got Duckworth, which is this incredible story about his the owner of his label and his father meeting way back when. And like I said, it's just another Kenrick album. He just keeps doing this. Every album has been amazing. He hasn't missed yet. So I don't really know what else I can say about this album. I mean, everyone has talked about it since it came out in April. So I mean, yeah, it's my number 2. Now at number 1, numero uno, it's actually a collection of 3 albums. They've come out in about 6 months, which in and of itself is bananas. 3 albums, about 50 songs, 6 months, not bad. It's this rap group that's kind of making waves. They're kind of getting big right now. Brockhampton, man, with the Saturation Trilogy. I actually had recorded a review for the 3rd one. I had recorded a review, and then I didn't like how it turned out, so I didn't want to put it out, but that's besides the point. These guys, what they did this year with these 3 albums is incredible, man. These guys are a bunch of young dudes that moved in together. Well, they met online first. They moved in together in Los Angeles, started making music, straight grinded for basically the whole year. Might as well just say the whole year. And released 3 amazing albums. I mean, Saturation 1, Saturation 2, my personal favorites 2. Saturation 3 just came out. They all sound different than the other one, at least in my opinion. I don't think any of the 3 sound the same. And I just love it, man. These guys have some of the best production I've heard all year. It's super fun. It's super creative. Whether they're using a lot of autotune, whether they're using a freaking accordion, whether they're using a guitar, it doesn't matter. Like, every song they've put out, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3, are just straight flames. It's either they're great or they're just good. There's no song that they've released all year that's like you could really say that's a bad song and have your opinion met. No, I'm kidding. But no, man, what these guys did with their production and just the different styles. I mean, there's Kevin Abstract, there's Amir Van, there's Dom, Matt, Champion, Joba, and Bear. So there's 6 freaking vocalists. 6 vocalists in the same group. They never sound awkward together. On the same track, they always make... Oh my God. I forgot Merlin. I'm sorry, Merlin. If you watch this, no disrespect. It slipped my mind. I'm sorry. I love you, Merlin. You're awesome. But they never sound awkward on the same track. They all have different styles, different flows, but it works. I mean, it works every freaking time. They have a different sound on just about every song. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible what they did. You hear songs and you think, how are they still doing this? They've already released 2 albums this year. How are they still? And they've done that time and again. So for that, I commend them. They're my number 1. People who know me would expect me to put Kenrick at number 1, but which I did originally, and I had to switch that up. But man, Saturation Trilogy, amazing. Go check it out. I don't imagine you'll be disappointed. Alright guys, that's my top 15 albums of the year. I hope I didn't make the video too long. But I didn't want to do any more than 15 albums because I thought I would drag on. So yeah, man, that's my 15. Here's 4 of my top 5 right here behind me. If Saturation was available on vinyl, I would have that as well, but it's not. So thanks for watching. Let me know what your favorite albums are, whether it's 5, 10, 15. If you want to list out 50 albums in the comment section, that's fine. I won't mind. I'll look at it. I'll tell you what I think. Yeah, thank you for watching. Leave a comment, a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you guys later.